everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Tea with D. Welcome back. If you guys saw the first episode and you're coming back for a second time, you guys are amazing. I am so glad you're here. And if you're new, welcome to the family. My name is Dina. Normally I post a lot of spiritual witchy type stuff, also some self-improvement, self-help, and other lifestyle type videos, but this is a new segment on my channel called Tea with D, where we basically talk about things that we all can relate to, things that we all deal with, and I think are just important topics to talk about. And today we're going to be talking about comparisonitis, and I feel like this is something that we can all relate to. If you're unfamiliar with the term comparisonitis, it really is a very similar definition to envy. Comparisonitis is a term that is a little bit more recent just because of social media and how prominent social media is in our lives now. So if you're unfamiliar with the term, basically it's when you fall into the trap of comparing yourself to someone else's life. So whether it is what do they own, where they're at in their life, like what stage in their life they're at, what they look like. Basically you compare that, you have a look at their life, and then you feel bad about your own because something doesn't measure up the way you think it should measure up. You feel like you lack something in some sort of way. And although we've always felt this kind of emotion, it is very prominent and very invasive in our lives, I feel, these days because of social media. Now, before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that if you have not seen my last episode of Tea with D, we talked about depression guilt. The link will be in the description box below if you guys want to watch that after this one. Oh my goodness, my birds just got really loud. I'm sorry if they get loud throughout this video. I'll try to pause when they do. I want to talk about the main things that tend to come up when people experience comparisonitis, but I also wanted to talk about some ways to kind of like alleviate this. I don't know if that's the right word, just to kind of like avoid comparisonitis, because we all experience it. There are definitely things I feel like I have like learned, but I am human, so it does happen to me still. And I feel like we all do experience this. Most of the things that tend to come up for comparisonitis are financial success. That's a big one. Sometimes it's, relationships or having a family, or it could be good looks, because we all know that is a big thing in today's society, especially with social media and influencers and things like that. So I kind of want to talk about all of these things. Now, we all know that this has become a bigger problem because of social media, but I also want to talk about why that's the case. So if we go back before social media, before that was even a thing, we can even go back before television, but television's a separate thing in itself, and I do want to talk about that too. But let's just go back before social media first. Before social media, you tend to compare your life and experience any sort of guilt or envy around, people that you saw in person, because you didn't see people on the internet. That wasn't a thing. So you may compare how clean your house was to your friend's house, or how good your friend's relationship was with how good your relationship was, or maybe your friend had a boyfriend and you didn't have a boyfriend, so you compared your life to theirs. It was definitely a lot more toned down to an extent, because you only compared yourself to your immediate friend group and your immediate family. As much as it sucked, it wasn't as severe as it is now. With social media, not only are you comparing your life to the people that are closest to you, maybe you're not, maybe you are. I want to talk about that too. But you're now seeing people from all around the world. So basically, you are now comparing your life to so many other people's lives in the world. And a good majority of those people are people that you don't actually even know. They're complete strangers, or they're acquaintances that you never would have normally seen daily, that you would rarely see, but now you're seeing so much of their life just posted on the internet. So it's a lot more extreme, because now we can compare our lives to so many different other lives. And the problem with social media is that it only shows the highlights. People rarely post the hard stuff. People rarely post about their obstacles and their hardships and things like that. So we have hundreds and hundreds of people posting the highlights of their life. So we have so much stuff to compare our own life to. Now, with television, of course, this has always been a thing with celebrities, but I think celebrities definitely are a lot different than influencers, for example, because celebrities have always been this almost different breed of people in a way. Celebrities have been untouchable. You know, if a celebrity has the nicest hair, the nicest clothes, the best makeup, like the perfect body, the most perfect big giant mansion, and all this stuff, yes, we may have compared our lives to it here and there, but at the same time, we're like, it's a celebrity. They're gonna have that. Like, it's like almost an unachievable perfectionism. And we all know that celebrities aren't perfect, and we all know that Hollywood's not perfect, and even though it portrays this, we know the dark side of Hollywood. So part of us would kind of envy it, but another part of us would be like, yeah, but I wouldn't want to be part of Hollywood. And also, like, they're celebrities. They're gonna have this stuff, and their lives are gonna look perfect because they've got editors constantly tweaking and editing things to make them look perfect in Photoshop. At the end of the day, I feel like none of us truly compared ourselves to celebrities so much. It's, again, they've been like this different breed. They're like this unachievable perfectionism and richness that, like, obviously we're not going to compare our lives to that because, like, yeah, that's that. But now we live in this completely different society where anybody can be famous. Anybody can be rich. Anybody can blow up overnight. There's so many influencers. There's so many young kids that just blew up on TikTok and now they're famous and they have a whole bunch of money. So yeah, we're going to start comparing our lives to that a little bit more because these were literally just everyday people not too long ago. Like, they just blew up out of nowhere. So it also seems like just like anybody can become an influencer. Now, I don't necessarily believe that. I think a certain type of person has to be an influencer. Obviously, you got to have some confidence. I feel like you have to be a little bit narcissistic to a point. And I'm not saying that people who are influencers have narcissistic personality disorder or anything like that. Like, I don't think we should be diagnosing people at all. But anybody who is in the spotlight has to have some sort of narcissism to a point. And I think this is the case for anybody. To be quite honest, like, you could say that about me too. I like to make content. I like to talk on camera. I may have a little bit more narcissism than someone who doesn't like to talk on camera. That's probably true, right? And I think there's different levels of this. You know what I mean? Like, there's people who are celebrities who love to entertain, who love to do stand-up comedy. You have to have a certain level of narcissism to want to do that. You know what I mean? You have to love to hear yourself talk. You have to love to see yourself on camera. I feel like, you know, influencers, they love to be on camera. They love to pose. They love to model. They love to show off. There's definitely a level of narcissism there. So not everybody can achieve that. Not everybody's going to have that, you know, that factor, that trait to be able to do that. But at the same time, at the end of the day, they were regular everyday people. So it makes them more humanized to a point where it's a little bit more, I feel like, humanized than celebrities. So we tend to compare our lives more to influencers than we do celebrities. So I think that's where it becomes very dangerous, where, you know, we really strive for that perfection that we see, but it's, you know, it's very fake in a lot of ways. I think the age of influencers is dangerous in a lot of ways, and I don't want to insult influencers, and I don't want to judge anyone's life decisions. So that's not what this is going to be. I'm not, you know, anything I say, I'm saying with respect to that. I know that certain people enjoy this lifestyle. I know that if I was given a bunch of really good opportunities, I probably would take them. I don't know if I'd ever become an influencer. To be quite honest, I don't like the word influencer. I think it's toxic. And the reason I think that is because influencers have made regular people very, very easy targets to be manipulated. And it's not necessarily the influencers themselves, but the people they work for. Influencers are the new advertisers. Companies don't invest time in commercials anymore because, like, no one's watching television. There's definitely a very big gap or break in the population of people that watch TV and people who don't watch TV. Myself, my boyfriend, and like all my friends, and then probably all the generations below that don't really watch TV anymore. We are on the internet all the time. We stream, we watch, you know, Netflix, things like that. But when we're not doing that, we're on, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on all those different social networks. We're not on TV anymore. So companies are spending less time in advertisements on commercials and more time on influencers because they know they can sell stuff to us. Influencers get all these brand deals and stuff. They're modeling the latest clothing trends, makeup, things like that. And they perform, they post pictures on their social media to make it look like their life is just the best life ever. Like, do you want to live a beautiful life like me? Do you want to be hot and sexy and gorgeous like me? Well, then you're going to need this product. They don't even have to say that though. All they have to do is look super pretty, look better than everybody else, and then wear the product and like kind of mention it below and everybody wants it. They are the perfect advertisers for products. They are perfect at making other people feel bad about their own lives and want better for themselves, so they buy the product that the influencer has. They are amazing, and companies, they know this. They're doing this on purpose. They are manipulating all of us. And again, I'm not judging people's choices. I'm not judging anything. You do you. You do whatever you need to do to make it in this world. You do whatever you need to do to make some money, because these influencers they're making money. They're paying their bills. They're doing what they got to do. You do you. But it is a toxic system. And that's when people start to, compare the way they look. Even though these influencers are wearing a lot of makeup, a lot of them have had stuff done. Most of them, if not all of them, are using Facetune and other sort of editing techniques to make themselves look more perfect. They also just know the perfect angles. And we see that one perfect picture, but we don't see the 100 takes that it took to get that perfect picture. So it's very manipulative. And I think this is one of the biggest sources of our comparisonitis. I don't know about you guys, but I don't experience comparisonitis really anymore in terms of like immediate friends. And I'm not saying that they don't have things to be envious about, because like my friends are amazing. Like, they're rocking it. They're living their best lives. They are trying their best, and I am proud of all of them. I think I passed that stage a while back in my like teenage years. When I was a kid and when I was a teenager, I definitely compared myself to my friends a lot. I was insecure. I was super self-conscious. I dealt with some social anxieties. I had depression. I had a lot of different issues and stuff going on. So, when my best friend in elementary school was more popular than me, guys thought she was more attractive than me, I was like kind of picked on and stuff. She like always seemed to get better grades than me no matter how hard I tried. Obviously there was going to be some comparisonitis there. And I experienced this with family members too. I experienced this with a lot of different things. But I feel like as I've matured more and grown into myself, I less experience it for friends and family, because part of it is you see their hardships too, you know what I mean? So like you realize it's not perfect. Their lives aren't perfect, and no one's lives are perfect. And you get more into the mindset of like just being happy for them. I feel like once you really mature and grow into yourself, you start to just feel happy for your friends more so and feel less envious of them. But that's not the case for everybody. I've had some, friends that definitely have come off as more jealous and didn't always wish me the best and have said little comments to really, get their little digs in and stuff. And those people I have distanced myself from for that reason. So I think it's very important to obviously surround yourself with people that are genuinely happy for you. And I think it's important to be genuinely happy for other people, because if you start to feel bad feelings towards your friends and like real jealousy and like you're not wishing them well and you just really want what they have, I think that's really when you need to look within and do some deep reflection and work on yourself. Because like if you're feeling that way towards somebody that is supposed to be your friend or supposed to be, someone that you really care about, then like I think that there's a big issue there. But I definitely experience comparisonitis for people that I don't really know. And I think it's worse because since we don't really know them, we don't know their hardships, we don't know the things they go through, we don't know their struggles, we don't know their obstacles, unless they're really open with that. And some influencers are great with that. Some influencers will be really honest and straightforward and will share their hardships. But a lot of them do put on this perfect facade where like they're just like, my life is just great. And you're more likely to compare yourself, I feel like, to that than someone who the whole story. All right, so how do we prevent comparisonitis, since this is so pervasive, since it's toxic in our lives and it often sabotages us more than it does good? The most obvious answer to this, and don't worry, I have other tips, but the most obvious answer to this is to spend less time on social media. That is the most obvious answer. Or, alter your social media so that you're not following people that are making you feel this way. And I don't understand why so many people do this to themselves. And I'm not saying why do you do this? I'm so much better. I'm not saying it like that, because I literally did this to myself for so many years too. And then I realized, what am I doing? Do we like to make ourselves feel bad? Do we like to feel these feelings? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do I follow people on social media that make me feel miserable? What's the point? Why? So a couple years ago, I realized what I was doing, and I'm like, okay, unfollow. I don't need this in my life. Why do we follow people that make us feel bad? If you're currently following an influencer who's super fake, who's always bragging about her new purse or her private jet going on vacation or her perfect hair or her new lips or whatever it might be, and this person's making you feel like crap about yourself, why are you following them? Unfollow. Or if they're that friend that's always bragging and blah, 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 and you're like, oh, but I can't unfollow them because I'll feel bad or there'll be drama and stuff. We always get caught in that trap where we're worried about other people think we're people like that. I feel like they're just so caught up in their own life and so focused on themselves that they probably wouldn't even notice if you unfollow them. But guys, there is a mute option. There's a mute option. I recently started actually using this, and I'm like, this is the best thing ever because people don't know if I've muted them or not. I'm still following them, but I don't have to see their crap all the time. Guys, if there's someone on your social media, Facebook or Instagram, I don't know if that's the case for other social medias. Those are the only ones I really use. But if there's somebody that's always bragging or super obnoxious and you're just tired of seeing their stuff all the time because they're super annoying, just mute them. You don't have to see that. You don't have to give your energy to that anymore. It's so amazing. That is extremely helpful. I have to say, doing that has helped me a lot. It made me feel so much better. And also just doing a social media makeover. While you're unfollowing things that make you absolutely miserable and feel self-conscious about yourself, start to follow things that actually inspire and motivate you. Follow things that make you happy. I think that you can follow some influencers, but there's some people that enrage you and make you feel like shit about yourself. And then there's people that motivate you. And there's a very big difference in those kind of people. So I think it's important to do that. A lot of you may know that I was super into makeup a few years ago. I worked at Sephora for 4 years. And before that, I had such an obsession with makeup and I wanted to be a makeup artist. The only thing I literally watched on YouTube were makeup videos. I was so into makeup. If I started my YouTube channel 3 years ago or before that, it would have been a makeup channel. And I'm so glad I started my channel when I did and I waited, because it would have been so hard to transition from a makeup channel to a self-help witchcraft spiritual channel. What? My subscribers would have been like, what are you doing? So it actually all worked out for the better. And that definitely, divine timing, that's a topic I want to talk about for another day, is divine timing. But anyways, yeah, I was so into makeup. I was so into that. But along with that came all the, the fakeness behind it. I followed so many makeup pages on Instagram. And as much as some of the looks, especially the really artistic, really cool makeup and movie makeup and all that stuff was really, really cool. And it's very inspiring. But when you start to follow makeup pages, you also get a lot of fakeness with it. You get a lot of perfection. You get a lot of Botox and lip injections and plastic surgery and all these things. And it could be a very toxic culture to engage in. I was looking at these pages of this perfection and I knew that they had layers and layers of makeup. I knew they had studio lights. I knew they had Facetune or Photoshop or whatever they were using. But there's still part of it that unconsciously affects you. We can't deny that it does affect us. It does make us feel bad or feel like we're not perfect enough. So I started seeing how toxic it was, and I started unfollowing. Guys, I have very few makeup pages that come on my Instagram feed anymore. A few years ago, I would have been like, yeah, right. Like, Dina, you're never gonna like become uninterested in makeup. And as much as I do enjoy, you know, putting on makeup and getting dressed up every now and then, I am not so obsessed with makeup as I used to be, just because of like the fakeness and the community that is associated with it. And I'm not saying that you can't be into makeup and be a good person and be a good influence. I think there are so many people that are, and I do know some people personally that are really into makeup and that are just really genuine, amazing people, and they stand for really good things, and I do really like that. And I think those are the kind of people that you gotta follow and support. But I realized what the makeup community, I guess, or the makeup side of social media was doing to me mental health wise. So I started unfollowing it, and I started following things that did inspire me and did make me feel motivated and happy in life. And when I say people that inspire you, I mean people that truly inspire you. Not the model that inspires you to go get Botox. Like, that's a whole other toxic situation. And I'm not saying don't get Botox. I mean, everybody has their own life, their own choices. You do you. Do whatever makes you happy. But there is I feel like there's a toxic side of inspiration and a more healthy side of inspiration. And when I say inspire you, I mean inspire you to be the best you can be. Inspire you to chase your dreams and your goals and actually, you know, take action on those things. Now, my next tip is to spend more time on you. The less time that you spend on social media, the more time you get to spend on yourself. And when I say this, I mean take time to do some deep diving, some shadow work per se, and really dive into why you are feeling why you're feeling. If somebody is making you feel envious, if you're feeling some really intense comparisonitis towards a particular person or a particular group of people, why? Why are you feeling this? Because you're feeling it for a reason. You're feeling it because you feel like you lack something. So for example, like, do you see someone doing the career that you want to be doing? Is someone doing, like, living the life that literally you want to be living? Like, you're like, that's what I want to do. Let's say they are a social media manager. Let's just throw that out there. You see somebody, they're a social media manager. You want to be a social media manager, but you're currently waiting tables. Well, that makes sense why you're feeling this comparisonitis, because you're watching someone literally do the thing that you want to be doing right now, but you're not doing it. So what do you do with that? Well, you could just get caught and lost and stuck in this icky comparisonitis and just feel bad about yourself and sulk at home. Or instead, you can use that person as your inspiration and your motivation to chase your dreams. Well, you know, what are they doing that you want to be doing? Okay, so how do you get there? What's the first step? What actual steps can you take to get closer to what you want to be doing? Or let's say you struggle with your weight and maybe you get caught in this, comparisonitis where you're watching these, again, quote unquote perfect, because none of them are perfect. They just appear to be influencers. And let's just say, like, fitness influencers are like a whole other breed. Like, that is a whole other thing in itself, because we all know the influencers in the fitness world, they have the perfect poses. They know how to make sure that you can't see their cellulite or they can't see their stretch marks. Like, there's some of them that are really, really, really honest. And I think those are the people that you need to, like, follow, to be honest. Like, don't follow the ones that make themselves look like they're perfect. Follow the ones that show you their imperfections and show you how, like, you know, the before and after. Like, there's people that will pose and they'll be like, influencer pose, real person pose. So you can actually see the real bodies. Like, they're still in really good shape, but they're not perfect and they're not pretending to be. Those are the people you should probably be following, not the people that make you feel like crap. But let's say you are comparing yourself all the time because you're not happy with your weight, or you're not happy with the way your body is, or whatever it is. Maybe you need to get more healthy and the person that you're following is super healthy and you just feel bad about yourself. And then you just keep going into the cycle of just feeling bad for yourself and not doing anything about it. Instead of doing that, use this person as inspiration and motivation to actually take action. Maybe you start to eat a little bit healthier. I'm not saying go on some crazy intense diet, because a lot of the times those aren't healthy either. But I say, like, eat a little bit healthier, start moving a little bit more. Maybe you're not used to doing intense workouts. Don't feel like you need to jump into intense workouts right away. Do something simple. Go for a walk. Try to do a little bit of jump rope outside your house. Do something simple to make your life a little bit like healthier. I also feel like the more that you spend time to understand yourself, work on yourself, build up your confidence, build up your motivation and your aspirations in life, the less you feel that comparisonitis. Do you still feel it? Yes, I still feel it. I'm human. We're all human. We're all going to feel that at some point. But you start to feel it a little bit less because you're so focused on, achieving your goals. I think part of comparisonitis is you're way too focused on what other people are doing. You're not focused enough on like what you're doing, And yes, in a way you are focused on what you're doing because you're comparing it. But I think if you spent less time paying attention to what everybody else is doing in their life, you'd be more happier with where you are because you'd be more focused on actually just like taking action in your own life. I don't feel comparisonitis so much anymore because one, I do spend less time on social media and I follow less people that are like that. But also like my day's busy. Like I have my day filled up with things that I'm doing to improve myself. I spend time creating content. I spend time working out. I also spend time on really on myself, reflecting. I spend time journaling, doing card readings. If you're very focused on yourself and your own projects and your own goals, there's less room for envy. There's less room for comparisonitis. It just doesn't come up as much. You know what I mean? So it's like, stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Stop worrying about what everyone is making financial wise and start just paying attention to what you're doing. Another thing that I think is really, really important to talk about is this rule book that we all seem to believe there is when there isn't. And it's definitely like a societal collective consciousness belief that we hold where we believe that we need to achieve certain milestones in our life by a certain age and a certain time in our life. You have to have your career set by 20 and you need to be married by 22 and you need to have kids by 25. These are just random numbers I'm throwing out, by the way. And you need to be retired by this age and you need to do this and that and you need to own a house by this time. We have these beliefs that we need to do things by a certain time and there is no literal rule book to life. There isn't. It doesn't exist. This is just a societal belief. This is what media and, movies and everything has made us think that we need to do. Most of us don't have our careers decided or set in stone by our 20s. A lot of people are changing careers in their 50s. I know people in their 50s that went back to school. There is no rule book. And this is where I put a lot of pressure on myself because I am a perfectionist. I have really high standards for myself. And I also am a really, really, really big dreamer. I've had big dreams and big ideas for myself and where I want to be in my life since I was a kid. I always felt like I need to have that figured out by my 20s. And now that I'm getting closer to 30, I'm like, well, shit. This is not where I thought I'd be. This is not where I wanted to be. And then we freak out and we feel like we're doing life wrong. There is no wrong way to do life. The only wrong way to do life is going around hurting other people and being a really crappy person. If you're being a good person and you are trying your darn best, then you're doing life right. You're not doing life wrong. And I think this is also really, really difficult for women because women they have all these other pressures. We have that whole pressure of the biological clock. Oh no, you better be married and have kids by this time or you're not going to be able to have kids because the older you get, the more risks there are. The older you get, you won't be able to have children. That is literally drilled into our brain by society and also by science because yes, there is truth to that. But there's so much pressure on women to have kids that they feel rushed into it. They feel rushed into finding a good person, which is really not good at all. If you are rushing into having kids because of a biological clock, there could be some other things that go along with that, not being ready and maybe not being with the right person. You have to be careful. I personally don't feel this. I personally am not super big on children. I don't know. That's a whole other topic for another video, but I just don't feel the urge to push out kids. It's just not something that super appeals to me. I'm not a big fan of babies. The closer you get to 30, and if you're in your 30s, you're probably feeling this way more than other women. And women will get like super worried because maybe they aren't with the right person, or maybe they're not in a committed relationship. Maybe they're having really bad luck dating and they're 30 and they're like, well, what do I do? I only have so much time to have kids. And that pressure is like even more intense. They feel like they're failing at life because they haven't reached that certain milestone yet in their life. And it's just awful. And I think that people get really caught in this comparison trap because the belief that we need to achieve certain things by a certain time. And especially in the age of like influencers, where people are achieving financial success so early in life, like way earlier than before, I feel like the pressure is definitely on a lot of people. So at the end of the day, I guess I just want to say that everybody has a different journey. We all have unique lives. We all have unique journeys. There's no order of things that we're supposed to be following like we believe there is. If you are working a job and you've worked a job for like the last 25 years and you aren't happy, you can change that. There is no rule that like once you choose a career, it's set in stone and you got to stay there for the remainder of your life until you retire. There is literally no rule that says that. Find a different job. Go back to school. Do whatever you want to do. It is your life. Life is short. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay miserable. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 60 and be like, hey, I decided I wanted to learn how to do this. Then do it. It's your life. And I think that's something that we really need to start to encourage. And I think it's gotten better. I think that we're more accepting of that than we used to be, because I feel like people definitely used to just stick out their careers until retirement, but people are starting to really realize okay, I got to do what makes me happy. The same goes for a lot of different things. You know what I mean? If you're unhappy in a relationship and you feel like you're too old to meet someone else, so you might as well just stay with the person that makes you miserable. Don't do that. Why? Life is too short. If you are unhappy with the person you are with and there's no way of fixing it, you've tried to fix it, you've tried therapy, you've tried to communicate. I don't say just give up right away, because I think there's a lot of people that just give up on relationships and they don't think that they need to put work into them. I think you need to put work into your relationship. You actually have to try. But if something is completely unfixable, if you are staying because you feel like you won't meet somebody else, or you're too old to meet somebody else, or something like that, you're not. You're not. Life is short. Do with whatever you need to do. It just got really bright in here, and it was bright earlier, and I'm sorry for the changes in the lighting, because I only brought one light down because I'm I don't need a light here because it's sunny, and then it got dark and now it's sunny again. But it is what it is. We're all just a bunch of humans on this weird floating ball in space wondering, what the frick are we doing? What are we supposed to be doing? What is life? Where do we go after? None of us know what the frick we're doing. We don't know. We're all winging it. Just remember, everybody is just winging it. So you might as well just have fun while you're winging it, because life is short. So just do you. Do you. Who cares what everyone else is doing? Just do you. I also want to say divine timing. You may not believe it. I feel like I'm yelling right now. Editing Dina's gonna hate me right now. I am a strong believer in divine timing because of various things that have happened in my life. And you may not believe it. I do believe it. And I just want to leave you with that I do believe there's divine timing for everybody. So if things aren't working out, obviously don't just sit around and be oh, divine timing, it'll happen when it happens. You got to take action. You got to actually do stuff. But I do believe in divine timing. And this is a topic that I want to talk about separately in a different episode. So stay tuned for that. I don't know what this was. Why am I giving you finger guns? I'm so freaking weird. But anyway, I just want to leave you with that, to give you some faith that, whatever you're working hard at, whatever you're focused on, you'll get some payoff. something good is going to happen for you. And it may not happen in the way that you expect it to happen. And it may not, and we need to let go of that sometimes because we have such like control issues that we want things to happen the way we want them to happen at this specific time that we want it to happen. But life doesn't work like that. So just want to leave you guys with that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope it gave you something really good to think about and maybe reflect on. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. And also make sure you comment below if you have anything to say, anything to add to this conversation. I would love to hear what you have to say. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, guys. You don't want to miss out on new content. I am going to be posting Tea with D episodes either every other week or honestly whenever the frick I feel like it, because it is extra content on my channel. It's not my usual, weekly content. So other than that though, I do have a lot of other interesting content that you might vibe with. So go check it out. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on anything because I do post every single week. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Take care and thanks again for watching Tea with D. Bye-bye, guys.